Good evening and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Dan Camilleri.
And I'm Laura McKillop. We'd like to start by thanking Enduro for their ongoing support in bringing you our live weekly Q&A. Tonight we are speaking with Aoidh Doyle from Whisper Kelpies and Livestock Services.
Aoidh will be picking who he thinks has asked the best question of the night, and they will win a bag of Enduro high energy food for working dogs with real kangaroo meat.
Hey mate, how you going?
Good, thanks. How you guys going?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good, thanks, buddy. How's your day?
Yeah, not too bad. It was cruisy enough. We only had half a day's crutching and we got rained out, so it was good. Nice and cruisy.
Rained out, mate. So what that consists of, mate? Hanging out with the kids?
Nah, they're in daycare, so I left them there for as long as I could. So just got home and done a few things with the dogs. Got them all sorted. So
yeah, bit of training, mate. Bit of training. We'll work through a few young ones there.
Oh, just done a little bit of training, but just trying to catch up and everything because I've been away for the last month with back in Ireland on holidays, and we've only been back 2.5 weeks or something, and we've been pretty busy since I've been back, so just trying to catch up on everything really.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, mate? Why'd you go away for so long?
Well, we actually went back to get married eventually. So it's been we were meant to get married 2 years ago, and COVID stopped that. So we eventually made it back there and got married on the 10th of June. So it was a pretty big weekend. 4 hard days of drinking, and it was actually a month of drinking. So I was actually doing dry July, trying to recover from it, but yeah.
Congratulations again, mate.
Yeah, awesome. Was that the first time you've been back since coming over here?
Nah, I used to try to get back once a year, just catch up with everyone, and then since COVID, so I've been home in 3 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty good to catch up with everyone, but it's not as bad now because you got WhatsApp and everything like that to talk to people, video calls and everything. So at least you still get to see people in a way.
Definitely.
I think that's pretty cool.
Mum and Dad they hadn't met our youngest Heidi yet. Heidi's 2 this year, so they hadn't met her or my brother's little fella either because he lives out here too. So it was good for them to catch up with the grandkids.
Absolutely, and just to share the experience with your whole family as well, mate. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's good.
So obviously, mate, there's a bit of an accent there, mate. Do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up?
Yep. So I grew up in Gorey, County Wexford in Ireland. I finished year 12. Went to schoolies, then got home that Wednesday morning off schoolies, left for Australia Wednesday night for a 6-week holiday. 6-week holiday ended up turning into 11 and a bit years now. And I was meant to go back to uni, and I was enjoying it too much. So I spent probably 7 years in the shearing sheds over here, and then I done 4 years on farm, working on a property in Bunnydown here, Fox Pastoral, and now I am back in the shearing industry contracting. So started back contracting now. I don't know if it was a good idea or a bad idea, but I can tell you in 12 months' time if it was. So I've been mucking around with dogs probably for 4 years now. I actually worked under Tim Cavill at Tundabardy Kelpies. So I was working under him at Fox Pastoral for probably 2 years. And he was the one that got me into dog trial and everything, and Rod as well. They taught me a lot of things about dogs, so it was good. It was good having them there behind me. And then Tim left after 2 years, and then I sort of stepped up into his role, and Yeah, it was good, and yeah, so now I'm back in the shearing industry now.
Yeah, and you said before you were meant to go to uni when you went back. What were you going to study there?
Teaching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
right.
going to do construction and engineering teaching, but yeah, I don't know if it was
Yeah,
for the
that's
best
pretty
if I
different to
didn't
what
go
you're
back
doing
or
now.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And have you always been in Victoria since you've been over here in Oz, mate?
what's that, mate?
You always been down in Victoria? You living here?
Came over, started off around Albury, and then I done a shearing school in Leighton. So I didn't start. I didn't actually know how to shear till I came out here, and I done a shearing school up in Leighton, and then I started shearing. I spent a couple of years around Wagga, and
Yeah.
it was actually pretty good then because I was young and I was living with a few uni students, and that's I yeah, experienced Wagga pretty well.
Yeah.
And then moved. We done a shearing job down here in actually where I was working at Fox Pastoral. Came down here. It's a 7 stand shed. They shear about 25,000 sheep there. So we were down. Usually came down here for about a month, and that's where I met Darcy. Um, she was working in the um, local cafe and used to go in there for a coffee every morning, and yeah, the rest is history.
No, that's
So
beautiful, mate. So, did you have any experience back home in Ireland with stock?
yeah, so I'm off a dairy farm back home.
Yep.
Dad, we got dad's farming 110 acres back home, dairy farm. So he milks anywhere between 80 and 100 cows, and then with dry cows and everything too, he has 120 or 30 cows there, all up on 110 acres. So it's very productive over there. And then I actually, from a young age, probably 14, I used to, any chance I get after school on weekends, I used to pen up for the local shearing contractor.
Yep.
So he used to run a couple of border collies, and the blue mural, they're called.
Yep.
They're sort of like a collie. So I used to use his dogs penning up. So I just used to keep the trailer. We used to tow a trailer around with us everywhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just a kid, and just done all the penning up. So that was probably where I first first learned about sheep dogs. Now Dad always had sheep dogs, but he's always had collies, but they're just dairy farm dogs. They're just follow just follow the cows down the lane every day. It's not really anything special or anything. So um yeah. And then my grandfather, we used to always have greyhounds as well. Grew up racing greyhounds, and that's actually where my prefix Whisper comes from. My grandfather, he started out with the greyhound industry, and he was a very good dog man. He bred an English Derby winner, so
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can bring some of that genetics back here, mate. Have a crack. Whisper kelpies and greyhounds.
That's it. I'll stay away from the greyhounds.
Question here from Pete Rutherford. What differences do you see between the dogs you have now and the dogs you and your family use in Ireland? And if you were to move back to work there now, would you take your team with you, or would they not suit that environment, in your opinion?
Well, that's a good question because I think about this a lot actually. Um, I actually, I don't. I'm not a big fan of border collies, to be honest. Um, but if I was to move home, because there's no yard trolling or whatever. I mean, there's certainly kelpies I can do, but I love working dogs. So obviously, if I was to move back home, I would probably get a few collies just to fit in with the trolling world over there.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely take kelpies home with me. Yeah, but yeah, just to fit in back home, I'd have to get a couple of collies just to do three sheeping, and they're more suited to that three sheeping work and everything.
Yeah.
I mean Kelpies can do it too, but if you probably want to win a bit more, you probably need a collie. But yeah, I'm not a super fan of the collies.
No, why is that, mate?
It's horses, of course. Like they're just, it's just the type of work I do. I suppose I don't, I don't, I don't want to get on the bad side of anyone that's got
I'm going to offend
collies.
anyone, mate. Everyone's got a different taste, right? Some people like
Yeah,
that.
no,
People like white
yeah,
chocolate.
they're just gutless bastards, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely good for what people. There is good collies out there, but for the sort of work I do, like a lot of yard work, cattle work, and paddock work, I think the Kelpies are just more suited to it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people that'll disagree with that. And there probably is. I've seen videos of collies out there that can do, but I think that's just more of a Kelpie job.
Absolutely. What a few more. I can't read
No,
anything
that's
there
all right.
tonight. I'm going to need my glasses on tonight. Eh? Cool. So you've been over here 11 years. You've been in the industry here 11 years. You're going to teach back in Ireland. Since you've been here, have you ever thought about doing anything else?
Not really. I've always been a big fan of agriculture. I've always been big into it back home. Like as a kid, I was always milking cows for neighbors, trying to make money, or penning up for the local shearing contractor. I've never really probably known anything else. I've never shearing and farming, really, dogs. I've never really thought about anything else, to be honest. It's just
You're right here.
what I've grew up around.
And you mentioned Tim and Rod there. Was there anyone else that inspired you when you're starting out?
Not really, because I didn't actually know anyone really in the dog world. Like Campbell, like I'm really good mates with Campbell Smedley. We do a lot together as well with Tim, and Campbell's a very competitive trawler, and we still do. We travel around to a lot of the shows together, and there's a fair bit of competitiveness in Campbell, and then I'm also the same. So that's what probably pushes me a lot. Campbell does. We've got dogs there around the same, like Cash and Mick are the same age. They're open dogs, and then he's got Zoe. I've got Snip and Elvis around the same age. So we've always sort of got dogs there, same age, competing against one another all the time, and so we'll probably push each other along a fair bit with a bit of a competitiveness streak in us. We hate losing to one another.
Talk about your competitiveness, mate. How do the kids get around your dogs?
Yeah, really
your
good.
love for your dogs passed down to your children?
What's that?
Your love for your dogs and your animals. Can you see that in your young kids there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, AJ loves the dogs. AJ, he rides them like a horse, so he does. I'd be afraid he hurts one of their backs. So, but no, he's really good with them. Really good with the pups as well. I actually lost him one day. He was the pet lambs had walked in, pissed off down the paddock because I was mucking around with dogs with him, so they try and get away any chance to get. And I was putting a couple of dogs away, and I couldn't find AJ, and here he is down the paddock with his little pup trying to bring him back to me. So I think he'll definitely have an interest in it. And then Darcy is she loves the dogs too. She's wanting to do a bit more trialing and well, Snip is actually Darcy's dog. Whisper Snip, and yeah, I like when Darcy doesn't come trialing because then I get to use
I was just going to
so,
ask that.
yeah. So any chance I get without taking Darcy, I take it because then I get to use her dog. So because she is the favorite, she's probably the favorite around the camp. So
And how's that go? Do you notice a difference in Snip whether you handle her or Darcy handles her? Does it make much of a difference, or she's happy to work with anyone?
she's happy to work with everyone now. Probably at the start, like Darcy's got a couple of dogs there, but I I hate seeing a dog going to waste. So obviously with the job I was doing, I was taking 10 dogs to work most days, and every one of them dogs were getting heaps of work every day because of we have so much stock in it, and I just wasn't I don't agree with leaving dogs at home, good dogs at home just for trialing, because Darcy's a teacher, so she obviously doesn't get to she only gets to
Yeah.
work them whenever we're doing her own thing. So yeah, so the dogs were getting her dogs were getting worked by me an awful lot. So then she was finding it hard. They weren't listening to her a bit. Yeah, they were sort of more on my side. But yeah, I wasn't leaving them in the cage. Yeah, I'd rather bring them to work than just leave them at home.
Definitely. I just think it's pretty cool. Sorry, you just said Darcy's a teacher, and obviously you were going home to do teaching. Has she ever tried to convince you to go and become a teacher now? No.
No, no, I don't think I could see myself doing it anymore myself, to be honest. Sitting in a classroom with screaming kids, especially when you have kids yourself. Yeah, that's the last thing I want to do.
But on social media, we're seeing a lot of the ISDS collies and UK. We've had a few guests from the UK come on. But are they working dogs any different in Ireland to over in the UK of what we've been seeing a bit of lately?
No, they're pretty similar. I think I don't follow probably them fellas as much as what I'd like, but I think it's James McGee and that from Ireland, they're up there with all the top in the world. Um I think someone has started that ISDS, someone done a trial over here. I think one stage I wasn't at it, but yeah, I'd love to see more of that over here. It'd be pretty good. The problem is a lot of people are probably afraid to have a go at things like that.
Yep.
That's probably the hardest thing about getting things like that started.
Yeah.
Yeah, there can be good handlers out there probably if that can be afraid to fail at something, or you could show weakness in a dog, or I just don't think it really kick off.
In saying that, mate, we'll touch on trialing a bit later, but mate, you throw your dogs in any situation, in any trial, any form of trialing. What I reckon that's awesome. Well, that's one thing I want to have a crack at. What do you like about that? Like, what's your motivator for that?
Well, probably to work it because we do I do a lot of cattle work, I do a lot of paddock work, I do a lot of yard work. So probably that's what, and I'm happy to give anything a go, but there's a lot of people there that won't put dogs on cattle, or I don't feed them just sit in the pen to just do yard work or just do paddock work. So all my main dogs, they've got to do everything to bloody really stay in the team. So I don't agree with just having a yard dog or just having a paddock dog. The dog's got to do sort of everything, but they're hard to come across too. Every dog lacks somewhere, but make up for it elsewhere. So, but
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a couple of my dogs that are bloody, weak on cattle, but I'll still give them a crack on cattle. Still put them in a cattle trial. Anything can happen.
Absolutely, mate. Speaking of, do you remember your first dog?
Over here.
Over here, back home, one that stood out to you?
Well, Cash is me. Yeah, Cash is me first dog. Really, I actually got given when I first started my job. I got given a border collie, half a fella. But he only lasted 2 weeks, and yeah, didn't want anything to do with him. So, and then I got Cash, off my father-in-law. He was probably 7 months old at the time, 8 months old when I started my job. And I couldn't do much with him, but I was he learned pretty quick because I sort of pushed him to do everything. It's sort of funny because he was my only dog at the time, I pushed him to do nearly everything, and he matured really quick. But when it's with my pups now, I do the totally opposite. Like I'll let him mature before I start doing any work with them. They're not as young as. It's easy when you got a team of dogs to take the work, where back then I didn't have any dogs, so it was easy to take young dogs to work all the time.
Yeah.
But now I sort of, don't start dogs till a bit later.
Yeah. And what about your current team these days?
Current team, well, there's what I've got. I'm just 7 main dogs there. So there's Cash, Snip, Elvis, and then I've got a few Elvis pups. Sarah, she's come along pretty well. And then Rambo. Rambo. Like I try to get a couple of sale dogs ready for every year, and have pups coming up all the time. So with the pups coming up, they've got to be kicking the older dogs out. Like like no matter how good they are to me, every dog's for sale. Like no, because if there's a dog there that's pushing you out, well, that's it. It's see you later.
Yeah.
I'm pretty hard on them that way. Yeah.
And do you have a type or style that you prefer? Like you mentioned, you like something that does everything. But what's your type or style that you prefer?
It's sort of good to have a bit of everything in your team, because no matter what job you do, it's always different. It's not sort of the same.
Mhm.
You're not doing the same job every day, so you sort of need a big team of dogs. And they vary a fair bit. Like they can all do everything, but they still something lacks somewhere where others are better elsewhere. But if I have a dog, like a dog that lacks a bit in the yard but's really good in the paddock, I try use him in the yard more to make him better there. Do it that way. So just to try and you're right, you go.
I was going to say, so obviously you want that all-around dog. Is there anything in particular you're looking for to improve your line and bring that through? Any traits or anything?
Strength. I'm pretty big on strength. But I find a lot of people get their strength in dogs mixed up a bit. Like, people think they have a strong dog and put videos up of it on sheep and whatever. But to me, it's not strong till I see it, swing, like not swinging off a cow, but strong on cattle.
Yeah.
Come in, have a good nose bite. Like Cash is a good example of mine. Like he can look strong on sheep. He'll come in and grab a Dorset ram. Think, oh yeah, he's a big strong bastard. But then you put him on cattle, and he's just got bark on cattle. Like doesn't. So that's where he's sort of, I'd count him weak. So I'm looking for them dogs that that are a lot stronger on cattle, and but I mean they got to be they do sheep work too, obviously. But strength is a big thing. So I try and if I got a strong bitch, like I don't mind putting a bit of a more softer dog over it, and vice versa. I use Elvis quite a bit because he's a pretty strong dog, so I'll put him over more yardier type bitches. With it, like anything that's got a bit of weakness.
Question here from Tim Hall. What breeding/bloodlines are you using in your camp now? And is your direction any different from when you first started with Kelpies?
No, not really, because so nearly everything of mine, except for Cash, and there's a couple of others there, but most of them have all got half or quarter ton of Bardi in them.
Yep.
Obviously, because when I started out, I was working with Tim and Rod, so yeah, a lot of my dogs go back to them, and that's probably where I've been lucky enough because Rod's really hard on dogs. He's he's the same, like nothing. He wouldn't go anything that shows weakness on cattle because he does a lot of cattle work as well. So it's probably his number one thing to look for, and that's sort of where so I've been probably lucky that Rod's put me in that direction straight away. And then I don't mind trying outside dogs either. Like, I'm happy to try anything, but there is certain crosses I like. But I don't mind giving anything a go. Actually, Tim Hall's got a really good dog that I like. That Ace. I've been wanting to give him a go. We did give him. So I don't mind. Tim and the reason for that is too. Tim does similar work to what I do. Like I was down in Tassie this year, and them fellas work a lot of cattle, a lot of sheep. So it's a similar sort of work to what I do. So that's what probably, I like about them sort of dogs too, because they're doing similar work.
Yeah.
Mate, and when we're talking about sheep here, mate, what do you like? What makes a good sheepdog to you?
Something that can move them.
Yeah.
Something with lots of presence and I mean what makes a good sheepdog? Something that can do everything with sheep, I suppose. It needs to muster them, it needs to do yard work. Like if it's your only dog, it needs to be able to do everything for you if you've only got one of them.
Yeah.
There's a pretty big heart, right? Had a big motor in it.
Yep.
What about cattle dog versus sheepdog? What separates them in your opinion?
Well, strength, I suppose. Like there's probably a lot of sheepdogs out there that can't do cattle work because a cow looks at them and they bloody run the other way. Where like I'd probably rather have more of a cattle-y type dog than a sheepdog. Like a sheepdog is probably more of a real barkier type, where a cattle dog is your more probably bites a bit more. But like I was showing a young fella actually this week about he's gone on about some people think you need a dog that barks a heap to move sheep, but it's all a lot of shit really, because there's plenty of silent dogs out there that can move sheep that have got heaps of presence and that, like and you just take the muzzle off if you really have to.
And obviously you don't like bark on cattle.
I don't mind it sometimes. Like that's why, like I've got a team of dogs. I got ones that bark on them, then I've got them few that don't bark. But I always bring a couple when I'm gone out into the hills mustering. Like some of it's pretty rough going. like I'll sometimes bring a barking dog with me,
Yeah.
just to know where they are, whatever. But yeah, it does work on dry cattle pretty good. The bark.
Yep.
Just on cows and calves, it's a pain because the second that dog starts barking, just all the cows turn around and they all just want to fight him. Where with them silent dogs, they just whatever cow turns around at the back, they just hit him, and none of the other cows know about it. So it's a lot easier.
And you mentioned you like a strong dog. How does that go? Do you like a dog with a bit of trainability and bitability, or not so much?
Yeah, they need to be trainable and and biddable, but yeah, like the strong dogs are they can be a pain in the arse because some of them get real intense. So like a lot of people probably there's a lot of people that don't like them probably strong dogs because they're intense and they zone you out a bit. But once you get used to them, like put it this way, you probably wouldn't want you don't want a whole team of them, that's for sure. Or it'll bloody
Do your head
do
in?
your head in. But once you get used to them, yeah, they're bloody exhausting. Like Elvis is you come off and you're absolutely wrecked after working him because you're just trying to hold him back, and it can be really hard work. Same with his father Grub. I think Rod has got Grub, and I think Rod's had 2 heart attacks after working Grub. So,
Well, I hope you're feeling all right out there, Rod.
After Holbrook, he had to go to the hospital. He had a heart attack after working him, and
No,
then
heard that,
same
mate.
after Tamworth.
If you're listening there, mate, I hope you're at home resting up a bit and taking it a bit easier, and maybe let someone else work grub for a little while.
I've offered to take him a few times.
I'm sure you are the one offering.
Mate, and you mentioned a little bit earlier there about always trying to have a sale dog coming through. Like, obviously, auctions are really taken off over the last couple of years. Mate, do you think it's a good thing, not a good thing, bit of feedback, and where do you see it going?
No, I think it's great. Well, I mean, obviously, because I've got a few dogs in every year. I think it's fantastic, but it's no different. I mean, you do got to be careful what you're buying because there probably is people that are getting rid of just shit. But it's no different to sheep and cattle, really. Like you got to take the prices when they're there because sheep and cattle are great at the moment too, but there's always a time where the arse can fall out, and it'll probably be the same time when the arse will fall out of the dog auctions. Like, when the money is there, you got to take it, and when it's not there, well, there won't be happy people, but you got to take it when it's there.
Definitely.
I think there's probably starting to get a little bit too many auctions.
Yeah.
There's probably too many happening, I reckon. Like, all a bit too close to one another, and I think that probably takes the prices away from the bigger ones because farmers are going to them littler auctions and buying them cheaper dogs, and where you take that dog to one of the bigger options and it could make $5,000 more. That's probably the difference in it.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully it keeps going strong.
So you obviously do a bit of breeding. Do you breed many litters a year?
Between probably about 2 litters a year. Yeah, I've only really because I haven't been I've only been in the dogs for 4 years now, so I'm only just starting to get sort of them bitches around me to breed. Like Snip is my oldest bitch, and she's only turned 3 back in May. So I'm pretty lucky with the team I have. Like it's a pretty young team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you?
There's, sorry.
No, you're right. Keep going.
Yeah, so really there's only a couple of bitches here that I'm breeding from. Like they've got to be very special for me to breed from. Like yeah. And that's why when it comes to service fees and stuff like that, or buying a pup, like I always try and grab a bitch, because I find it's really hard to find a strong bitch. So that's what I really look for. So yes, that's why I always grab a bitch for a service fee, or if I buy a pup over later, I'd always try to get a bitch just to, because that they're the future of your stud, breeding wise. So that's why I always try and grab bitches.
And obviously, we know you like strength. What does a bitch have to show you to be able to be worthy of breeding from? What makes it special? What makes the bitches you have special?
Well, calm, strong. They can do everything. Yeah, like you can go to a yard trawl or a utility trawl or cattle trawl, and so they can, yeah. Snips the only one of that. Like Pepsi's my other bitch. She's
Full of
it's funny,
sugar.
like yeah, she's never gonna be a trial dog, but if you seen her at work, it's a totally different story. She makes up for it at work. So
Yeah.
she's her pups, the pups I have by her here are only young though. So yeah.
Why that? Did she just
Not
find
like,
another gear for you?
sorry.
Did she just find another gear for you at work?
Yeah,
Pepsi?
she's an absolute machine when it comes to yard work and that. She's probably my best yard dog. But then she lacks probably in the paddock, more than the others. Um, yeah, I was actually lucky, really, that she's bloody alive. I ran over her moving stock down the road, and luckily enough, well, I hit her with my front tire, went over, and then I drove forward a bit to make sure I wasn't on top of her still. And I parked the back tire on her tail, and I reckon she pulled away and she broke her tail. And that's all that was wrong with her. So I was pretty lucky.
Yeah, definitely.
She a bobtail now, mate, or
Tail, yeah.
yeah,
She
right.
looks like a little Smithfield or something.
Just weight reduction.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a second.
Okay, go to in a second. Cool.
Yeah. So when looking at sires, what makes a good sire to you?
Well, probably go for, like, with the stronger toe, like, I don't know, whatever the bitch lacks a bit in, fill it in with the sire. So if she's a bit more yardier type than a pub, I'll probably go more of a paddocky sire. Yeah, that's probably what I look at. I don't know. I find it really hard to find outside sires. There's like heaps out there. Don't get me wrong, but I just you just don't get to see enough of them.
Yeah.
You only get to see them at yard trials and yeah. So so I try and if a bitch lacks something, that's why I'd go outside to a sire that needs to get I don't know what the word I'm looking for now. Compensate for whatever she lacks in.
There you go. Found the word, mate. Bless you. And mate, those few litters you have had, do you find, or in your opinion, do you think that the bitch or the dog has more litter, more influence? Thank you, over the litter.
Nah. I have this argument with Rod and Tim a bit. Actually, like they reckon, it's all about the bitch line. Yeah, I don't agree with that. Or it's 50-50. Yeah, definitely.
I'm with Rod and Tim.
Definitely 50-50.
Mine a lot like my dad, so I don't know. Depends how you look at it.
I mean,
it?
litters vary a lot. I know, people say, oh, well, the
Absolutely.
bitch spends more time with him, so the bitch influences a lot more. I do see where people are coming from there, but when it comes to work, I think the whole litter can be like the mother, like the father. You just, yeah.
And how do you go about picking a pup for yourself?
That's I don't take over. The only thing I probably would go for is I'm not a huge fan of big white chests, and I'm not a fan of floppy ears. I hate floppy ears. So they're probably the only two I don't go for in a litter.
Yeah.
I mean, if a dog, there are only things you don't like, but if I've got a dog there that's an absolute champion, bloody, and he's got floppy ears, but I'll still bloody take him. It's just when it comes to picking pups, yeah. I mean, some people look at the roofs of their mouth. It's got a black mouth. It's gonna be good. But I don't agree with that. But yeah, I just take whatever.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to anyone wanting to purchase their first dog or pup?
Buy one off, or like what?
Well, anyone who wanted to purchase a dog or a pup, like what advice would you give to them?
Well, you need to probably look for like a handler that's got that's similar to you, like someone that's nice and calm, and their dogs are easy going and do everything easy, like. And if you're calm and like that sort of style, like, you'd probably go to them. But if you're looking for if you're happy to be yelling at dogs and want a dog that hates doing as it's told, well, probably go to people that are always yelling at dogs. Like me, I'm always yelling.
Mate, talking about yelling at dogs, do you want to go back question there?
This one? Yep. Matthew Adams has asked, do you find with strength comes defiance, making it less trainable? And would you suggest more work environment or small training setup for those like defiant dogs?
What does it mean by defiant dogs? Sorry.
Do you find with strength comes defiance?
Yeah, well, like a lot of them sticky dogs just need, they're probably you need to be working them on big mobs to free them up. Like, them stronger dogs are a lot stickier, so you need, 3 sheep is not going to be any good for them because they're just going to be stuck on them all the time. You need to actually take them probably to work and to free them up on them bigger mobs. They got no other choice but to move because they got to get to the lead, and yeah, that's probably the best way to work them sort of dogs.
Yeah, beautiful.
Do you want to go that one there?
Yeah, Randall Fincham has asked, would you rather a dog that takes the confrontation to the cattle or a dog that waits for it?
A dog that waits for it.
Yeah, and why?
A dog that's gonna take it to him all the time. Well, the job's gonna take longer because he's always gonna be probably light.
Yeah.
Where I like a dog to just back at a mob and just let the mob walk. Where them, and I've had them two types of dogs where them ones that sit off and just walk along behind it, and then I've had them ones that are constantly up them and just wanting to fight them the whole way, and they're the ones you just put away because it's just easier.
Do I go that one as well?
Yeah, we'll go this way.
Get this way? All right, cool. Mate, talking about pups there, mate, what age do you start a pup and what kind of stock do you use?
So I start them off on sheep. I used to always rear 4 or 5 potty lambs every year, and I used to find them good. And I think I remember listening to someone and they were like, yeah, you never use potty lambs, but I think the pup, the pups are always being rewarded because the lambs are following you because I think they're getting fed, and especially if you're starting them off pretty young and they're following you, so the pup thinks, well, he's doing a great job, he's moving the sheep along. That's what I used to. Then I got sick of bloody rearing potty lambs, so I just use whatever sheep I can, broken in sheep, because you don't want your pups getting injured. That was more at the start, but then I sort of because I was so busy at work and that, I sort of was taking pups to work and doing most of my training at work with them, rather than at home. Like, you work dogs for 10 hours of the day, once there's the last thing you want to be doing is coming home and working for another couple. So I was finding it easier to just do it at work, and plus you get home now and the kids are here, so you got to spend time with the kids as well. So that's when I started doing more of my training at work. And that's where why I was starting my pups a lot later when they were ready to come to work, more so than doing it at home.
Yeah. And do you have any milestones or expectations that you want a pup to reach by a certain age or time?
I want to chase down Gary White at the Nationals. That's my next gal.
So I.
Yeah. And I'd like to win a national one there. That'd be pretty cool. But it's hard to beat Gary. Gary's very good at him.
He is, isn't he?
So,
number 17 under his belt, I think, on the weekend.
Yeah, something like that.
So probably out there today, listening, Big Gaz.
He is.
Congratulations, mate. So hats off to you once again.
Gary's good fun around at a trial too. I love taking the piss out of him, especially when
never
there.
Mate, and we mentioned they're working on some trainer sheep. What's your ideal setup? I know you do a lot at work there, you mentioned, but what is your ideal setup for training the
round yard? Yeah, I use a round yard. There's no corners to get stuck in, or like I still do at home, like if I get a chance on weekends, whatever, to give the young pups a go just to see if they're showing any interest, or more round yard, and then I'll take them out once I start getting a bit better in that. I'll let them out in the paddock to get away from the fences and actually get around, chase them. But and even with cattle wise, I won't start a dog till a lot later on cattle, and more so when I usually used to break pups in like when we're weaning. So once weaners are sort of broken in a bit, then I'd let younger dogs out on them. I used to I'd never start them on cows because it just creates habits.
Question here from Rick Freeman. What would you do to encourage a dog to back who doesn't seem too keen on the idea, but is otherwise a good dog? Or at what stage would you give up on backing and have a dog purely as a paddock dog?
Yeah, just don't give up with him. The more he does, the more confidence he's gonna get. But then there definitely is dogs out there that probably yeah, will never be confident in doing it. So it depends how old he is, and how much he's actually done. But just make sure the race is, yeah, you want the race to be tight so he can't fall down, so he's got lots of confidence. Staying on their backs, don't leave any holes from the fall through, or he'll get stood on. And yeah.
And the other day, mate, I was seeing a video you put up there, I think, of Cash in the paddock, going out a long way on that ridge top, mate. What kind of casting actions do you prefer there?
Casting action as in,
How do you like your car? How do you like your dogs to cast out?
oh yeah, what probably more a pear shape, like in flatter country. Yeah, I like a pear shape cast. But yeah, out in the hills, when you're blind casting, you just sort of gotta, like, dogs that don't kick out, I try and send them further behind me so that they actually get around to them.
Yeah.
But cash out in the hills, yeah, he's a bit of a freak. Comes to the hills, he's yeah, really good.
Why is that? What do you like about it?
Oh, because you can just send him anywhere, line cast him, and you can direct him anywhere in the hills.
Yeah.
He's really good and just easy to work out in the hills. He's probably a bit loose, doesn't grip his stock as much, but yeah, he's still probably number one dog when it comes to the real steep country and thicker country. But Elvis is really good at it too. Yeah, but yeah, Cash is probably my number one when it comes to the hills.
Beautiful. Mate, I'm not sure this is a G up. We've had a couple of questions here about you using birds to train dogs. Well, a couple of different people have asked here. What's the go here?
Can I guess who it would be?
Oh, there's a couple.
Is Jordan one?
Nope.
No.
A bit of a G up, is it?
No, you'd have to say her name.
That's cool, mate. We'll punch on. Just thought it might be something, but we're looking at each other here going, there's a few people asking, is this fair income and what's the go? So anyways, we might keep going there, mate. So obviously you've been around dogs for the last 4 or 5 years, mate. How long have you been trialing?
Be over 3.5 years. It'll be 4 years in the springtime.
Yeah.
And we know you have a crack at everything.
Very first trial.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And we know you have a crack at everything, mate. Why do you trial?
It's good to get out there, and I love socializing. Yeah, it's good to catch up with people, and it's probably not a bad thing just to sort of see where your dogs are at as well, towards other people's. Yeah, probably that way. Like, there's obviously good dog. There's good dogs there, and then you think you have a good dog, so you go to a trial, and we'll see if he actually is up to standard or not. But I love the social side of things. Like, you go up New South Wales. I love going up there and catching up with them fellas. They're all usually have a pretty sore head the next day.
You're not too bad, are you?
But, yeah, but it's like we start running this SSD cover Supreme Stock Dog Challenge down here now, and just it's probably more for us to see what sort of because that's the type of work we're doing, like utility, like paddock work, cattle work, yard work, and it's a sort of a way for us to find and have a look at outside sires as well.
Yep.
In a way. So.
And do you have a favourite like form of trialing? Yard, utility, cattle.
Probably yard. Yeah, there's just a bit more happening. I love utility and cattle as well, but there's just a bit more action happening in the yard trials, and you can get through a bit more. And like utility and three sheep it can get a bit boring near the end of the day, I suppose, just because it takes so long. But I still really enjoy doing them. Like a three sheep, a three sheep is great it's really good to do. But it's bloody boring to watch. It's a bit like soccer. Soccer's all right to play. It's all right to play when you're right there in the action, but it's bloody boring to watch.
But and then you obviously you mentioned that you like yard trialing, mate. Do you believe that yard trials simulate what a real work environment, or you can see aspects of a dog in the yard trial that you could go, oh yeah, that dog would be right in a yard situation?
Yeah. Yeah, no. So say that question again. You bloody
like in your yard trials, do you believe they simulate like real work situations still, like like you
reenacts probably another one.
Yeah, like we got our draft and we got our drench race and our forcing pens. Like, do you believe that watching them at a yard trial, watching a dog at a yard trial, you go, yeah, that dog would make a work dog?
Yeah, there definitely is certain dogs, yeah, that but then there's definitely dogs there that can go good on 10 or 12 sheep, but then put them on probably a couple of hundred, and it'd probably be a different story. But yeah, most of the time it's no different. You see the good dogs there are always on top. That'd be good. Like it's not always about the dog that's winning all the time either. Like, there's a lot of dogs there that aren't always winning that I really like. They got heaps of go about them. Yeah, that would probably make more, like, they're really good farm dogs because the handlers trying to hold them back a bit. Like, it's more work first before trialing, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm looking for a work dog before a trial dog, so it's not always the dog that's winning that does it for me.
So, question: what about a dog that is a trial dog, and like you said before, it might not get around a few hundred sheep? Do you think that is something that can be taught though, if they know the principles, or something they pick up from work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The only reason I said it is because I actually know of a really good like he's a good trial dog, but then you see him at work and you think, just can't move sheep then when it comes to work.
Yeah.
And I have seen it. That's why I've said that.
Sense.
But when it comes to trialing, like you'd want the dog to go to a trial, but then when it comes to work, just nothing there. On them bigger mobs, but yeah.
And what do you think makes a good trial dog?
Well, something that's going to listen to you and do as he's told. What makes a good trial dog? Yeah, that's a good question. I suppose they got to be bit. They got to listen to you and want to be there. There's
Yeah.
sometimes dogs don't even want to be there for the handler, but yeah, they got to want to be there with you and want to work for you. Like I think I think some people can overcomplicate things. That over command at trials, rather than just letting the dog do his thing.
Yeah.
And that's where they probably struggle a bit. Yeah, as the saying goes, less is more, and I think that's some people probably need to think about that a bit more rather than trying to be a control freak of the dog. Just let the dog do his own thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I reckon I know to answer this one more.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite trial to participate in?
SSD.
There we go. And hats off to you, like that. We weren't able to get down there ourselves, but so much good feedback from that one there, and really looking forward to getting down to the next one you run. Like you run a really good event from all accounts, mate. Haven't heard anyone say a bad word, so hats off to you. I know it's not easy to run just the yard trial, let alone the SSD. So awesome work, mate.
Yeah, no, it was a great weekend, and there's a lot of people, we that hadn't been out in the paddock before, and that didn't realize how well they'd go. Like Mitch Jubb was a good one. Like that Brutus of he's a cracking yard dog, and Mitch probably has never done 3 sheep in his life with him, and he ended up penning with him. I was reading the magazine there, and Mitch got a bigger write up than what Campbell did, and Campbell won it. he done so in the 3 sheep. It's just things like that. That's why you just need to, even with people beginning, wanting to get into trialing but are too nervous, like you just got to give these things a go, because you won't find out till you actually do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that well at that one, well, go to the next one and try and do better. Like I got DQ'd at my first trial, which was that's pretty heartbreaking at the time. But you just got to come back and try to do better the next day.
Yeah.
So
there was one point there I thought DQ was a good score for a little while. I was like 2 weeks in a row I got DQ'd. I was like, oh, this is shit. I got to get more dogs. And what do you feel is your best trialing achievement this far, or a special moment?
We know that answer too.
Oh, I think we do.
Yeah. This year down in Tassie with Cash, that was winning the Australian Yard Dog Championships. That was a great feeling. I never expected it. Yeah. I mean, you definitely go there to win, but I always sort of set a goal. If I can just make a final is always good. But I think trialing though, it can be always bloody. It's probably 60% luck as well. But yeah, luck was on our side that day anyway, and we got the job done. But that was really good. I had a really good time last year up at Armadale as well. I was pretty happy. Snip winning the Australian up there, the maiden, and then Elvis got second in the yard, the novice yard up there as well. That was a pretty big achievement at the time too.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And to think, the issue of the magazine before you won the Australian, you were the rising star, and next minute you win in the Australian Yard's pretty cool. So big jump.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day. Yeah. I thought, wow, we picked that one. How do you get nervous at all, and how do you handle them?
Yeah, I get nervous all the time. Probably not so bad with my younger dogs. It's probably more with like the likes of when I go out with Cash and that, like probably because he's been my first dog, and he sort of got me to where, got me to where I am now. Like I always get nervous working him for some reason, because I just don't know how he's gonna go on the day, whether he's gonna listen to me or not. But
Stay away from those DQs.
yeah, it was actually funny. It was good in Tassie because we had big paddocks to run him in, and that's before he's run. I took him for a big run before we went out there, but sort of settled him down a bit.
Yeah.
Mate, and away from trialing, mate, what advice do you give to someone that wanted to pursue a career in our livestock industry?
Oh, I mean, give it a go. I don't know how to answer that. Say the question again, please.
What advice would you give to someone that wanted to pursue a career in our livestock industry?
Well, get yourself a team of working dogs. I suppose would be a good start. And yeah, just give it a go.
Get out there and have a crack.
Get out there and have a crack.
Start sending some resumes away.
Yeah, that's it. There's plenty of jobs going out there at the moment, so it's not hard to find one.
And who would you like us to sit down on Dog Talk with?
I think it'd be good to have a chat to a couple of the Kiwi fellas, like Lloyd Smith and a few of them fellas. Like the things that they do over there, they're like, it's just it's the next level towards here, really. I'm sure you could talk to Jake Nolan about who'd be good to chat to over there. He's been over there and he loves it. I find the Monera boys, they're pretty.
Yeah.
Like Mango Hedger and Dean Inch and that. And actually, what's his name up at Armadale? I spent a fair bit of time talking to him, Myla.
Yep.
Dan
Matthews. Yes.
It's them. Like it's the same with Mango. Like he's them dog trapping fellas. Like Mango is telling us a lot of stories down in Tassie about, like because obviously he's trapping dogs and he's just got to know their next move really to trap them. Like and that Dan Matches is the same. Like them fellas are really interesting to talk to.
Absolutely.
About dogs.
Trying to lure a dog to step into an inch pad in thousands and thousands of acres, right? There's really got to breed dogs and using lures and just the way they move a stick around, and just bundling them in, and there's a lot to it. Right, they really got an old dog.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. Like some of the stories he was telling, and Mila's good value. He was good fun up there. You get a few good stories out of him.
Awesome, mate. Mate, it's that time of night, mate. Was there a question that stuck out for you tonight, and that lucky viewer will win a bag of Enduro high energy food for working dogs with Real Kangaroo, mate?
Peter Rutherford.
Beautiful.
Yeah. No worries, Pete. I'll get in contact with you, and we'll get a bag of Enduro coming your way. Also, Ed, thanks for your time tonight, mate. There's a bag coming your way as well.
Yeah, I can. I'll give my bag to someone else as well.
If you like.
Was there a second one there that stood out for you?
Who else asked questions? Was it Adam or something?
Yeah, there was Matthew Adams. Yep.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Matthew, if you want to send us your details, mate, bag of Enduro coming your way as well. And thanks for donating that back, mate. We appreciate that.
Yep, not a problem.
Like to thank you for your time, obviously. But one last question. Would you rather fight one duck the size of a horse or 20 horses the size of ducks?
Duck the size of a horse. So I don't
Yeah.
mind eating duck, and I reckon there'll be a fair bit of eating on a duck the size of a horse.
There you go. We haven't
I
had
like
that
that
one yet.
That's
so
a new one.
that's good, mate. Thank you very much for your time tonight. Much appreciated. Thanks to all our viewers. And please remember, we learn every day. And the day we stop learning will be a sad one for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.